Hi, my name is Carlo Volpe,
And I'm Desmond Silva.
and welcome to Centerville Voice. Hey everybody, welcome to Centerville Voice. My name is Carlo, and again, my good friend Desmond. What's up, Desmond?
Must be what you call it. Anyways, so yeah, guys, we need you all to just go and hit that like button and subscribe right off the bat, and also make sure you hit the notifications bell. We're gonna be sending out videos now one after another, every single week. So we've already got feedback from a lot of you all, and we are very, very thankful for everyone who gave us feedback. It's been really helpful and very, also very, how do I put it, very encouraging, because we've got a lot of positive feedback as well from this, as well as people who have had some constructive criticism for us. And either way, we take it, we accept it very much. We're very happy for what you all have been telling us. But if we want to have this channel to be reached out to everyone, we need you to go share that Facebook page, share this video, go out and hit that like button, subscribe, and hit the notifications bell, and make sure you share this video with everyone that you can possibly do. You can possibly do that whether on Twitter, on Facebook, or whatever the case is. Go out and share this video as much as you can. And also remember about the Patreon page, guys. So if you check us out at Centerville Voice check us out on patreon.com/Centerville Voice, as well as at centervillevoice.com. Okay. And what do you got today, Carlo?
Absolutely, and that's a good reminder, Des, because like our perfect topic today about media and how the media doesn't give us always the straight message and how they frame things. This is an awesome way as to be part of the alternative media, right? And the alternative news, and we're going to grow and through this. So let's get right to it. Media, again, like I said, media framing things. In the past, they've always framed things, of course, but I've really seen in the past, and I know you've seen in the last couple of years, that they've really framed things so much where honestly, it's whatever narrative they want. They wrap it up in a little bow and they put it to you. And just so many people are starting to question and start questioning. And what's your take on that? Like, there's so many examples. Where do we even start?
Right? Oh, geez. I mean, there's examples from like Pope, as far back as Pope John Paul II, and as far back as the Gulf War. Okay. CNN has been known to be have basically staged reports where they say that they're on site in Iraq during the Gulf War, and they're not. And there's actually a leaked video. We can include that clip right here. So, but there's a leak.
A couple of explosions, what may have been an outgoing Patriot ground-to-air missile, some reported airbursts that may have been an intercept of an incoming Scud missile. We're really not sure. All we know is that the air raid sirens have gone off, and we've heard the outgoing roar of at least one Patriot missile. We've heard some sort of airburst. We can't tell where it was from where we are right now. We're waiting to see what's happening. As you can hear, the air raid sirens are still going off around us. People are, strangely enough, used to it. This is the first one of these attacks that's taken place early in the morning, but they're not showing you anything other than what we've got now. What do you see there? Is that a missile going out? No. We're not quite sure. We can't show you anything else than what we're seeing right now because of military regulations. We are not allowed to show you where the missiles might be going. Watching and scanning the sky and something else coming in, but right now we can't see much of anything. And frankly, this is what we can show you on television right now because of military restrictions from both the Saudis and the U.S.
CD, if you need to take cover, I notice that you've got your gas mask in your hands. If you need to put it on, please do so. If you need to take cover, please do so. If you are able...
We are now led to understand that there are also firings in another city in Saudi Arabia. CNN's Carl Rochelle is here with me, just came up. Carl, I know we can't be very specific given these restrictions, but within those parameters, what did you see?
Well, what I saw, I didn't see anything hit. I looked almost straight above us. There was a vapor trail coming from my right to my left, and there's a cloud of something. It looks like it might have been an explosion, a cloud. I'd say it was...
Charles Jaco, CNN, reporting live from Saudi Arabia. Look at this. Look at this. Look at this shit. Look at.
believe that. Let me say hi.
The top 10 things about Saudi Arabia. Maybe we could shorten the list to 5.
Oh God, Geopolitics by Dan Quayle.
Je suis un journaliste américain. Woof. Woof. Oh, I love this country so much. Standing down now, I'm gonna go get my hamburger and my coffee.
Good. We just got the all clear.
All clear. Every time I order something, this happens. All clear. Thank you.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. I'm starting to get real bothered by all this. Boy, did I almost look stupid. Charles Jaco, CNN, reporting live from Saudi Arabia. No, wait a minute. Whoa, hold it, homeboy. I'm the talent here, you dig?
Video where they actually had a reporter who was not in Iraq, but in the studio pretending to be in Iraq. Oh, and there was a leak video that got on YouTube, and it showed what actually happened, right? Yeah. Well, that they were actually within the studio. And guess what? It didn't change. They actually did that not too long ago. Even Stephen Colbert was making fun of him. Stephen Colbert is a liberal guy. He was making fun of CNN, how they had told that one of their reporters was on site on the other side of the country when they were actually in the parking lot. And what made it really funny is because you could see in the studio behind, in the window behind the first reporter, that there was a truck that was going behind them, a truck or a bus or something like that was going behind that reporter, and the other reporter who is on the other side is pretending that, trying to see that they can hear or not. And the same vehicle goes right behind that exact same that other reporter who's supposed to be on the other side of the country. It's ridiculous.
That's crazy. Well, let me tell you, not in the most recent example, but in recent times, the biggest example for me was during the Hillary Clinton and the Trump election, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, we were talking about it a little earlier. All I saw during that election was Hillary's winning. She's in the lead. Everybody's liberal. Everybody's going Democratic. Yeah. We're going to win our country. We're going to keep on going with this whole, the whole blue thing. And there was the first example that I saw of clear manipulation, clear programming. I was like, not only did they say all the polls that he was winning, it was like so almost easy in their voice. Oh, he was easily going to win. And then when he didn't win, when she was going to win rather, and then when he won and she didn't win, I was like, me and millions of other people said, see, well, what are you guys getting at? What are you telling me? It's like, I was like, that was the first time for me that I saw their obvious programming was not only wrong, but it was obvious. It was a dirty game,
Oh, even Time Magazine, I think it was Time Magazine that had a picture of Hillary Clinton during the 2016 elections on the front page, and it right above it that they had a picture of her like this or whatever the case was, like this, and above it said Madam President. There you go. Above it, before she even won. She never even won yet, right? And they already called it, right?
Yeah. And then after that, the more recent one is during the Trump and Biden election, right? As soon as the election started going on, and everybody's, there's controversy everywhere. There's going to be articles. There's going to be digging up history. But one day I saw something come up about Hunter Biden's son, right, in his laptop, in this suspicious laptop, and we can link an article there too. But New York Times posted that. Twitter removed it right away, deleted the account and suspended them maybe for a day or so. I don't know the details, but we'll get to that. But again, you may not say that Twitter is, this town square, but if they're controlling the media and everybody's looking for them for social acceptance, then they are really, right? So they're controlling the media in that sense, where they're like, well, we don't want anybody to see this article. Well, why not? Why? Because it's damaging to their candidate. And that was another example where it was very clear to me that it was their candidate. Biden was Twitter's candidate, right? And
exactly.
I don't think there's any question. And if there is no question that Twitter is Biden's candidate, or Biden is Twitter's candidate, then we have a real problem.
Yeah, and the thing is that like there's so many things. Like Biden has a long history of lying.
Voters are going to have to decide whether he was dishonest or dumb.
Senator Joseph Biden may have more explaining to do.
The new questions stem from taped remarks of Biden during an April campaign appearance in New Hampshire.
I went to law school on a full academic scholarship, the only one in my class to have a full academic scholarship. Went back to law school and in fact ended up in the top half of my class. I was the outstanding student in the political science department at the end of my year. I graduated with 3 degrees from undergraduate school and 165 credits, only needed 123 credits.
Biden now concedes he did not graduate in the top half of his law school class, that he does not have 3 degrees from college, and that he was not named outstanding political science student in college.
Newsweek says Biden actually went to school on a half scholarship, ended up near the bottom of his class, and won only 1 degree, not 3.
Joe Biden ranked 76th in a class of 85 at the University of Syracuse Law School. I mean, this guy comes off this whole thing as a flyweight.
Now Biden says Newsweek is right. His memory had failed him.
And I'd be delighted to sit down and compare my IQ to yours if you'd like, Frank.
Joe Biden was victimized by the truth.
But this standard is not a measure of how we can evaluate the condition of our society. It cannot measure the health of our children, the quality of our education, the joy of their play.
Yet the gross national product does not allow for the health of our children, the quality of their education, or the joy of their play.
Let us pledge that our generation of Americans will pay any price, bear any burden, accept any challenge, and meet any hardship to secure the blessings of prosperity and the promise of opportunity for our children. We shall pay any price, bear any burden, meet any hardship, support any friend, oppose any foe to assure the survival and the success of liberty. And I started thinking as I was coming over here, why is it that Joe Biden is the first in his family ever to go to a university?
Why am I the first Kinnick in 1,000 generations to be able to get to university?
Why is it that my wife, who's sitting out there in the audience, is the first in her family to ever go to college?
Why is Glenys the first woman in her family in 1,000 generations to be able to get to university?
No, it's not because they weren't as smart. It's not because they didn't work as hard. It's because they didn't have a platform upon which to stand.
Does anybody really think that they didn't get what we had because they didn't have the talent or the strength or the endurance or the commitment? Of course not. It was because there was no platform upon which they could stand.
Here's the thing: I'm going to play both sides though, because here's the thing: is when Biden was VP, okay, and when Obama was leaving and Trump won, okay, when Trump won, Biden was actually being pretty objective in when he was dealing with keeping the Senate in check, because you had Maxine Walters and a whole bunch of other folks who were on the Democrat side who were just saying that they are not going to certify they don't want to certify any of the votes for Donald Trump, and they were highly against it. But Biden was like overruled over and over again. Yeah, he was overruled because he said he didn't want this to keep doing that. So Biden did do that.
Are there any objections to counting the certificate of vote of the state of Arizona that the teller has verified appears to be regular in form and authentic?
Mr. Vice President, I, Paul Gosar from Arizona.
For what purpose does the gentleman from Arizona rise?
I rise up for myself and 60 of my colleagues to object to the counting of the electoral ballots from Arizona.
Is the objection in writing and signed by a senator?
Yes, it is.
It is.
Thank you, Mr. President. I object to a certificate from the state of North Carolina based on violations of the Voting Rights Act.
There's no debate in the joint session. The chair has previously ruled a signature from a senator is required. Is there a signature from a senator?
There is a signature from the House of Representatives, myself.
The
and
objection
no signature
cannot be received without a signature from the senator.
Mr. President, I object on behalf of the millions of Americans, including members of the intelligence community.
There is no debate. Debate is prohibited.
Interfered in our election.
The chair has previously ruled a signature from a senator is required. The objection cannot be sustained unless one is available.
Mr. President, despite grave concerns of the intelligence officials showing
Objection
Russia
cannot be
interfered with
received.
our election, it is signed by myself.
Senator Klobuchar. Senator Klobuchar, we'll continue the tally.
To the votes from the state of Wisconsin, which should not be legally certified
No debate.
or regularly
Does
given.
the gentlelady, does she?
In the city of Milwaukee, 60,000.
Please come to order. The chair has previously ruled. The gentlewoman will suspend. As the chair has previously ruled, a signature from a senator is required. Is there such a signature?
I do have a written document with
The
my
objection
signature on it
cannot
seeking
be
a senator,
received.
but the Russian intrusion,
The clerk will continue to call the roll.
I wish to ask, is there one United States senator who will join me in this letter
There
of
is no
objection?
debate. There is no debate. The gentlewoman will suspend. The chair has previously ruled a signature from a senator is required. Objection cannot be received.
But when it came to, I think at this point, Biden's a puppet at this
I was
point.
going to say, though, was he a puppet still then? How far along in his condition?
because-
Let's just call his condition a condition.
Because back then it was Obama calling the shots, right?
Yeah, that's true. So
Right.
Obama said, do whatever, I guess.
Exactly. So Obama was calling the shots. And the thing is, the way that we got now, the high polarization happened gradually over many, many years. Okay. It started happening like around Obama's time that it started to take off a lot, especially around, I think 2011 was when it started to really take off. So, but it was something that was being fed from a long time. But what happened with Biden this time is I think that he was just being put as a puppet because people were thinking that Bernie Sanders was going to win the Democratic nomination, and he didn't, even though he probably would have been the better candidate in terms of speaking. I don't agree with everything that Bernie says, but the fact is that I do realize that he's probably the best candidate from the Democrat side, right?
I think most of America thought that too.
Yeah.
But the people
Tulsi Gabbard also was good for a certain period of time. She would have been also a decent one too. But they were basically taking out the people that they didn't want. And I think it was Andrew Wong was also one of the candidates, one of the first Asian candidates that was actually in the running.
Well, exactly. And to our point too, I mean, the media is completely part of it, right? Because who's going to get the coverage? The candidates that either the Republican Party wants. I mean, this is all colluded, right? This is all
colluded.
Choreographed. It's all planned. A lot of it is planned, at least anyway. Where it's like, I mean, who does a network want to? I'm sure a network has certain people or certain candidates that they favor for whatever reasons, maybe legitimate or illegitimate reasons, but. When in my opinion, when this article, like these damning articles can come out, or some really crazy stuff comes out about, Biden or Biden's son that could potentially lead to collusion or potentially lead to, espionage or whatever the case may be, foreign issues, to just dismiss and say, well, that's, you didn't see anything, not the joint you're looking for. That's almost like what happened. They just waved their hand and said this article is deleted.
And people were going around trying to cover for Biden, saying that Biden didn't have the Ukrainian, what was it? I think it was the auditor there. What was it called?
Oh yeah, some kind of. He was fired. Somebody.
They got him fired. He was the auditor general, something like that. I forgot. So what?
Attorney General. I think he was
Attorney General. Sorry, not the auditor general. The Attorney General.
Yeah.
Was the one who was doing audit on.
It's more corrupt to get an attorney general fired.
Exactly. So he actually, and they talked about how Trump was using quid pro quo for Ukraine. Well, guess what? They did look into it. There was really no quid pro quo, because the thing is, he was basically asking them to do their job. That's it, to get the job done properly. Whereas Biden did have a quid pro quo. When he was doing the Obama administration, he had money that he was going to withhold if they didn't fire the Attorney General.
I remember going over convincing our team, or others too, convincing us that we should be providing for loan guarantees. And I went over for, I guess, the 12th, 13th time to Kyiv, and I was supposed to announce that there was another $1 billion loan guarantee. And I had gotten a commitment from Poroshenko and from Yatsenyuk that they would take action against the state prosecutor, and they didn't. So they said they were walking out to press conference. I said, no, I said, I'm not going to, or we're not going to give you the $1 billion. They said, you have no authority. You're not the president. The president said. I said, call him. I said, I'm telling you, you're not getting the $1 billion. I said, you're not getting the $1 billion. I'm going to be leaving here. And I think it was, 6 hours? I looked, I said, I'm leaving in 6 hours. If the prosecutor's not fired, you're not getting the money. Well, son of a bitch. Got fired. And they put in place someone who was solid.
And SOB, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah,
that's what he said. SOB. Well, he got fired, and Biden literally got him fired. He admitted it on television, right in front of a whole crowd of people. He admitted to it, and he has made a lot of racist comments and all that stuff.
Are you going to apologize, like Cory Booker
apologize for what?
Cory Booker's called for it.
Cory should apologize. He knows better. There's not a racist bone in my body. I've been involved in civil rights my whole career.
You cannot go to a 7-Eleven or a Dunkin' Donuts unless you have a slight Indian accent. I'm not joking.
Even call centers, which rushed overseas in the hundreds of thousands. How many times you get the call? I'd like to talk to you about your credit card. Poor kids are just as bright and just as talented as white kids. They're going to put you all back in chains. But I tell you, if you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, then you ain't black.
Joe Biden is under fire this evening on comments he made about working alongside segregationist senators in the past.
Biden recalling his early Senate career, bringing up two segregationist senators, Herman Talmadge and James Eastland, who called African Americans an inferior race. I was in a caucus with James O. Eastland, Biden said. He never called me boy. He always called me son. At least there was some civility. We got things done. We didn't agree on much of anything. We got things done.
My son is Attorney General, a year in Iraq, came back, and that's one of the things that he finds was most in need. When he was over there in Iraq for a year, people would come to him and talk about what was happening to them at home in terms of foreclosures, in terms of bad loans that were these Shylocks who took advantage of these women and men.
And if you look at the media back in the 70s and you compare it to now, people were a lot more objective back in the 70s than they are now.
Remember those reporters that ripped Biden to shreds and made him drop out of the 1988 presidential race due to plagiarism? Well, listen to them now.
These clips are devastating. He looks like a Joe Biden wind-up doll with somebody else's words coming out. Bye-bye Biden. He may not know it yet, but I think this is going to be very difficult for him to recover.
Biden is the closest to a generic individual. There's nothing about him to hate. There's nothing about him to dislike, and Pat, you told me that a long time ago.
Newsweek says Biden actually went to school on a half scholarship, ended up near the bottom of his class, and won only 1 degree, not 3. You know, I was thinking on the way over here. Now that's a little too much, because as you point out, what's behind the words? What's there? And a lot of people, the rap on Biden has always been that it's just a surface.
According to a new CNN poll,
more than 6 in 10 Democratic and Democratic-leaning voters say that former Vice President Joe Biden should run for president. Half of all Americans say that they would be at least somewhat likely to back him. What do you think? Does Joe Biden have what it takes to beat Donald Trump?
Well, let's look at him. He's a Democrat, but he's a centrist leftist. Yes, left, but enough to the center to appeal to people who just aren't on the far left fringe of the Democratic Party. He's likable, and he has experience. He actually has experience in doing things, not as an executive, but in doing things that in Washington you should have if you're president of the United States. The problem is, Don, how does he get the nomination? The Democratic Party is moving sharply to the left. Young people, bless them. Women, bless them. People of color, bless them. And he's got to convince them that he's the right person to take on Donald Trump. If he can get the nomination, I think he can beat Trump, sure.
It is going to be interesting to see if Biden can pivot. You know, will he take the incoming and try to respond, or will he be able to rise above it and pivot? If I were on his team and I were advising him, I'd say pivot, pivot, pivot.
And pivot,
correct.
like you're saying, right? If they bring up abortion, which they'll bring up abortion, he can pivot. If they bring up Anita Hill, he can talk about how terrible it was and gee whiz, blah, blah, blah. However, he does that in 15 seconds and pivot. Isn't that the key?
That's exactly right. And he needs to pivot to the things about Joe Biden that everybody loves. The big smile, you know, I am a regular guy. I know who you are. I see you, and we can have a brighter future together.
So it's really, really subjective.
I wonder, now we might go on, I don't want to go on too much of a tangent, but I wonder the philosophy behind that, or wonder the psychology about what's happened to media. You know, it's been, media has evolved to an area or a level that it's so much more than just giving out news, like actual news, right? Newsworthy, something newsworthy that you should know about for your safety or your protection or the good of your health and everything. Most of the stuff on the news is not news if you look for that definition, right? Most of it is stimuli, whatever form it is, but it's just some sort of stimuli. It's like a tasty, treaty, bad for you, you know, get your waistline fat kind of thing. It's just a terrible treat. That's
you know, there's what was it? Even CNN, one of CNN anchors. I forgot what the guy's name is, but I'll brought out his picture and name on the post later on. In the post later on, but he once we get this thing edited. But the thing is that there's one CNN reporter who, when he was referring to Trump, he was being very belittling in a way, and like, you didn't want to be. It's not Como,
but they've
the guy with the white hair and glasses. You know who I'm talking about, right?
Oh, like Wolf Blitzer? No. The beard?
No beard.
Oh,
clean shaven, white-haired fella with glasses.
I don't know his name.
Anyways,
yeah,
we'll put him up. But the thing is that he was very unprofessional.
Really?
Like, I don't know what type of reporter actually talks like this on the news,
right? But if you think about it, all the press releases and everything, they were trashing, you know, his press secretary. They're trashing him, the news, the media. It's crazy. And now you see the media talking to Jen, whatever her name, Psaki or Psaki, whatever, Biden's press secretary.
Yeah.
So like just like the questions that they're getting are ridiculous. The questions that Biden's getting is like, oh, well, what are you going to do with the curtains? Like, who gives a shit about what color the curtains are going to be?
They don't care about that. And the thing is, Biden's getting it easy.
Yeah, a lot of softball kind of questions, and you know, but after he made all these executive decisions, you know, and all these executive, you know, so anyway, back to our topic. The media, we have a note here about the whole Time magazine on saving the 2020 election. So let's get into that. How was that framed?
Oh, the executive orders?
No, were you saying saving the 2020 election?
Oh yeah, that one there. Oh, but I should have mentioned one little thing before I get into that.
Yeah,
I remember on the media they said that Trump was like a dictator or a Nazi or something like that for making 4 executive orders in one day. Biden had a stack of about 28 to 30 executive orders that he made in one day, soon as he became president.
Yeah,
right?
Hypocrisy.
When he was sworn in.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's get into this article from the New York Times. Not New York, no, sorry, number 2 New York Times from Time Magazine.
Okay.
And this is a pretty well-known one that should be going off. It should have been known for a while now. If you haven't read up on this one, I would suggest that you go take a look at it. The title of this is "The Secret History of the Shadow Campaign That Saved the 2020 Election." Okay. Wow. "Quote unquote saved." I do put quotes up around the word saved because that is a very, very unique word to use for this. So here it basically says a weird thing happened right after the November 3rd election. Nothing. The nation was braced for chaos. Liberal groups had vowed to take to the streets, planning hundreds of protests across the country. Right-wing militias were girded for battle. In a poll for before Election Day, 75% of Americans voiced concern about violence. Instead, an eerie quiet descended. As President Trump refused to concede, the response was not mass action, but crickets. When media organizations called the race for Joe Biden on November the 7th, jubilation broke out instead, as people thronged the streets through the U.S. to celebrate the democratic process that resulted in Trump's ouster. Okay, so well, of course, this would be from the Democrat side, right?
Yeah.
The second odd thing happened amid Trump's attempts to reverse the result. Corporate America turned on him. Hundreds of major business leaders, many of whom had backed Trump's candidacy, not really, and supported his policies, called on him to concede. To the president, something felt amiss. Quote, "It was all very, very strange," Trump said on December 2nd. "Within days after the election, we witnessed an orchestrated event to anoint the winner, even while many key states were still being counted." And this is what Time Magazine says. Time Magazine says this.
Yeah.
"In a way, Trump was right." And then they go on this way. Look at this.
Yeah.
They're admitting to this. There was a conspiracy unfolding behind the scenes, one that both curtailed the protests and coordinated the resistance from CEOs. Both surprises were the result of an informal alliance between left-wing activists and business titans, Zuckerberg and company, so to speak.
Yep.
The pact was formed in a tense, little-noticed joint statement of the U.S. Chamber of Commerce and AFL-CIO, published on Election Day. Both sides would come to see it as a sort of implicit bargain inspired by the summer's massive, sometimes destructive racial justice protests. They were riots. Let's put it this way: they were anarchist riots.
They were riots. Yeah,
they were riots. Let's be honest; they were not just peaceful protests. They were riots. Okay, if we can call the Capitol Hill protests that they were riots on Capitol Hill.
That was insurgents. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but if they called insurgents, well, guess what? We can do the same thing on the left-wing side 100%. For the summer riots. Those were riots, and they were far worse. You had people's buildings being set on fire. People's homes.
I would even go so far as that they were actually encouraged by the Democratic leaders.
They were encouraged by Democratic leaders. They were encouraged by the media. It was horrible.
Now, too many see the protests as the problem. No, the problem is what forced your fellow citizens to take to the streets: persistent and poisonous inequities and injustice. And please, show me where it says that protests are supposed to be polite and peaceful.
When the Capitol Hill riots occurred, everyone was condemning them, including the right-wing media.
I am here to deliver this message on behalf of the entire White House. Let me be clear. The violence we saw yesterday at our nation's Capitol was appalling, reprehensible, and antithetical to the American way. We condemn it, the president and this administration, in the strongest possible terms. It is unacceptable, and those that broke the law should be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. I stood here at this podium the day after a historic church burned amid violent riots, and I said this: the First Amendment guarantees the right of the people to peaceably assemble. What we saw last night in Washington and across the country was not that, end quote. Make no mistake, what we saw yesterday afternoon in the halls of our Capitol likewise was not that.
Yeah.
So like Fox News was telling that.
Yeah.
But they were not, but the left-wing media was also condemning them, but the left-wing media would not condemn the protests that were happening in the summertime in places
they
like
wouldn't
Portland.
even wouldn't even fully acknowledge them and be truthful what they were. They were the ones that were saying, and this is the perfect, to our point, they lied to us. They say they were mostly peaceful. Are you kidding me? You're part of the
They're
news.
not, no.
You're seeing Molotov cocktails being thrown. You're seeing people getting shot, and they're saying they're mostly peaceful. Well, if they're mostly peaceful, why are the violent?
Yeah, and they're talking about, they attacked the Capitol. Well, guess what? The left-wing insurgents, they also, the rioters and the insurgents there, they also, they attacked the courthouses. They were attacking federal buildings as well.
Well, they took over a couple police stations, right?
They attacked people. Then they even attacked CNN.
We're here inside CNN Center. We're just in the last 10 minutes. Demonstrators have started to come up and down this thoroughfare of Marietta and break out windows of CNN Center. They've broken out the windows here and are continuing to throw objects. There's just another projectile fired, appear to be a full water bottle. But there are officers that we can report. At least 2 officers have been injured. One of them, it appeared to be seriously injured. He was being dragged out. You could see what's left behind of this glass, the glass partition that separates the street. These demonstrators are now launching something that appears to be some sort of smoke grenade that they're throwing inside CNN Center right now. They're kicking it back out, guys. This is live happening in front of your eyes. They've just thrown, I think, Powerade or some sort of Gatorade or liquid, guys, on the officers. Another rock just thrown there at police. We're right behind the police line.
I
saw that.
That was kind of like karma, as if honestly, that was karma.
But it was almost planned because they handled it so perfectly, so professionally, so almost like it was like orchestrated as well.
Yeah, exactly.
But
and then the thing is, it's like karma unfolding for CNN.
Yeah. But so this thing, like, so
there's. So anyway, let's go back to this part here. Both sides would come to see it as a sort of implicit bargain inspired by the summer's massive, sometimes destructive racial protests, progressive protests or riots, in other words, in which the forces of labor came together with the forces of capital to keep the peace and oppose Trump's assault on democracy. This is very much an assault on democracy, what the left had done.
Yeah.
Because what they're doing is they're trying to block out what happened during the 2020 election. They circumvented every single right-wing voice. You start to see on Facebook, on Twitter, and all these other right-wing voices. Their reach on Facebook and social media went down big time.
Yeah.
And but the thing is, the left-wing ones went up. And Fox News and all those stuff, they were trying to get rid of Fox News. They're trying to get rid of Parler.
But of course, we know why they went up. Who's backing them?
Every single after Trump went down, I went out of office. Every single network went down, right? Every single went down. But out of all the networks that the ratings went down, Fox was hit the least in terms of ratings. So, but the one who was hit the worst was CNN.
Yeah.
Because there was no longer Orange Man bad.
That was their bread and butter. That was their soul too. Like that was their hot commodity, right? They were selling hate for the Orange Man.
Exactly.
And to our point, they were just selling hate. And that was wrong with. See, the worst thing for the country in the 4 years when Trump wasn't president was what they did. How they framed it all. And to our point here, they framed like he is so bad, he's racist. He is so bad, he's putting kids in cages. He is so bad, he's building a wall. He's so bad, he's doing this. And now we're starting to see, we already knew this, right? But now the left hopefully is starting to see that, no, they're putting kids in cages, plastic cages with plastic bags, and they're still putting them in cages. They're still taking them, you know what I mean? Like it's so crazy. During a pandemic, they're locking kids in cages, plastic cages during a pandemic.
Biden built the cages.
Yeah. Well,
he built the cages during when he was VP, right? So under the Obama administration. So those cages were there long before Trump. And and that big influx with the cages, the way that the immigration system was for refugees or for illegal immigrants was handled was not due to any Trump policy. It was due to previous policies made by previous administrations.
Well,
and whether it's
that point-
Democrat or Republican doesn't really matter. It was a previous one that did it.
Exactly.
So,
And to that point as well, the sorry to interrupt, but that point as well, like the government or the media as well is also spinning this to say, oh, that doesn't matter. You know, this is we're still just cleaning up what Trump did. This is like, you know, I mean, it's so easy to still blame everything on Trump that even the mistakes of the prior to Trump, they're still be able to blame it on Trump. But let's swing back to the whole, like, so after the last article that we said about saving the 2020 election, that's clear of that there was a conspiracy. Like you said, Time Magazine wrote in it that there was a clear conspiracy. They admitted to it.
Oh, and here's the thing: they said they touched. It says here their work touched every aspect of the election. They got states to change voting systems and laws and help secure hundreds of millions in public and private funding.
Yeah, I
They
guess
fended off voter suppression lawsuits. Recruited anyway. What they did was voter suppression. In other words, they made it so you didn't have to vote with an ID, which is ridiculous. It's not secure that way.
You don't have to identify yourself.
They recruited armies of poll workers and got millions of people to vote by mail for the first time. So they actually recruited all these poll workers that were there. And if you looked at a lot of the cases like that were against them, there were poll workers that were trying to basically they were actually very biased in the whole thing.
Well, exactly. And if you think about it, like the media, and traditionally, and correct me if I'm wrong, but the media have been the champions of free speech, truth, objectivity. That's what the media and the news was supposed to be, right?
Yeah.
And now they're completely paid for. If they were up for truth and objectivity and all that stuff, like they say, they should be poking all kinds of holes in these problems. They should see this these electronic voting, you know, voting without registration or voting without proper ID. They should be writing articles, right, exposing all this stuff. But instead, they're just kind of writing free passes for this because it's all part of the game. And what do we do now? There's not just 2 news stations anymore. You can get your news anywhere you want.
Oh, and the American news stations are not the only ones to blame. I mean, you get that here in Canada too. Like I still remember, I think it was back in 2003 during World Youth Days in Toronto when Pope John Paul II came to Toronto for World Youth Days, and I was amongst the youth that was there at World Youth Days. I was there at the Pope's Mass when he gave his sermon and when he celebrated this Mass service and the service that was there, whole communion and all that stuff. So I was there from beginning to end throughout that whole thing, from the time that he touched down in a helicopter to the time that he left, right? Yeah. So there was one time where Pope John Paul had stated, in order to address the situation of the cases of child abuse that were in the church, right?
Oh, okay.
And he said, do not be discouraged by a few bad priests that are in the church, but rather be encouraged by the many good priests that are in the church, which is true. There are a lot of good priests in the church. The church is an institution, is a human institution that's run by human individuals. And the thing is, if you look at even the history of the church, the very first Pope, St. Peter, he was flawed. I mean, the guy was flawed, and
everybody's flawed.
But the thing is, if you look at the history of the Bible, of how God used flawed human beings to do his work, right? That's in the Bible. But this part, going back to this quote here, where he said that, you know, don't be discouraged by a few bad priests, rather be encouraged by many good priests that are in the church. He was there. His intention was to give encouragement to the young people that were there. And when he said that, there was a huge cheer from everyone. And everyone was shouting out, Viva Papa, which means long live the Pope, right? And what happened, though, is later on, when I got home, the local, I think it was CBC or CBS, I'm not too sure, I'd have to go back and check, but actually it's very difficult to check because this happened back in 2003. Okay. I think well before YouTube started having any type of news coverage of these types of things, particularly when, you know, Canadian issues, or particularly with the Catholic Church in Canada, the specific thing with World Youth Days. But what happened is that during World Youth Days, there was also a group of more left-leaning folks who were basically against the church. They had a mock a mock trial, a fake trial of a priest that was basically a completely, they were all actors, right? And showing, well, how the church is wrong, blah blah blah.
Okay.
But there was a lot of people who were hoping that the church would change, and one of the things in favor of being more liberal. And what happened is that they took this clip from Pope John Paul II, and they stated Pope John Paul II gave an official apology for the many atrocities of the church at World Youth Days today. And then they showed the clip where it says, "Do not be discouraged by the few bad priests that are in the church," and they cut it off.
Okay.
They just cut it off right then and there. They didn't show the rest of it. And I remember looking at the TV and I was like, that's not all he said. That's not what he was doing. Like, he was trying to encourage people, because it's saying that, there are not all the priests in the church are bad. I mean, it's just like the police, right? It's like not all police are bad.
It's exactly the same type of situation. Bad apples are bad apples, right?
Yeah, you get bad apples at any type of institution, any type of organization. Of course, you're going to get the bad apples slipping between the cracks, and that's what happens, right? So, because these are all run by human beings, so of course there's going to be problems, right? Yeah. So you just try and fix what you can, but they completely misquoted him, right? Yeah. So if they can do that, that's what I thought. What I've always say is that if they can do that to the Pope, right? And then
they can do that to anybody.
They can do that to anybody.
And take anything out of context. And again, this is a great kind of a loop back around to kind of, to feed into what we're doing in our message, right? And our whole philosophy of the nuanced approach of a podcast or a longer form, where it's not just a clip that says the Pope says, hey, don't discourage, don't focus on the negative. What he's saying is the big picture, right? Let's still
exactly
love you. Yes, we learn, we live to see another day, and we learn, we try and better. And the whole saying, I don't know if it's an Oprah or whoever, but when you know better, you do better, kind of thing, right? That's an approach that everybody needs to learn, right? Yeah. So no, I get that. But what do we do about the media? Like, or not what do we do about the media doing this? But is it inevitable? I mean, they're always going to paint their picture. They're always going to point at a different angle, or a certain angle rather, but we need to fight it. We need to question it, right? When something comes up on the news and it's like, oh, this is so obvious. I'm like, wait a second, it's not obvious to anybody, certain things, right? And when I hear the media say, this is obvious, don't worry about this, or don't investigate this, or, this is a possible conspiracy, then I look into it, because wait a second, it's like I said originally, these aren't the George you're looking for. And anytime I get that feeling, that bullshit radar goes off, it makes me question it.
One good network to watch is C-SPAN, because C-SPAN, even though people see it as conservative, the truth of the matter is that C-SPAN does not provide a narrative. C-SPAN just tells things as events happen. They provide a lot of raw, unedited video of events as they occur. Okay. And they allow you to decide for yourself based on what you see, which is what should be the case, right? Because if you give people the whole story and both sides of the story, they're going to be able to make a more informed judgment. The problem is that you have people who are making these very ill-informed judgments because of the fact that they're dealing with, so we have these people dealing with, so you have a lot of these people dealing with having ill-informed judgments because they don't have enough of the whole story that's there. Right.
Exactly. And then when the media is telling you everything from their certain angle, or from their certain perspective, or their certain, narrative, then you have nothing else to believe. So yeah, you're completely conditioned at that point. And that's the problem we're in, I think, a lot of times, is that when I do talk to somebody, whether it's friends or family, whatever, and whether it's anything about COVID or anything these days, like, right, and I question anything just from a healthy perspective to question something. They're like, well, why would you question that? Well, because I'm not watching CNN 24 hours a day, and I'm not programmed. That's why I question it. Like, why would you not question anything? I'm not questioning whether I should sleep or not. I'm not questioning whether I should eat or not eat. I'm questioning whether, I should do something exactly the way that, a TV show is telling me. So, a puppet in front of the camera. So
there was actually one U.S. senator who was recently vaccinated. And before he was vaccinated, he would always wear a mask, right? Yeah. After he was vaccinated, he stopped wearing masks.
Yeah.
Which kind of makes sense, because that's the whole purpose of being vaccinated, so you don't have to worry about the disease, right?
Absolutely.
And the reporters who were that when he came for to have a open talk with the reporters, right? The reporters, one of the reporters from one of the networks was asking him to put his mask on.
Insisted on it, yes.
They insisted on it, and he is asking him why. And he asked, "Why would I have to do that?" Right? I was vaccinated, right? I thought that's the whole point of being vaccinated. And the reporter said, "Well, it'll make us feel better."
Good afternoon. Yeah, when I'm talking to the TV camera, I'm not going to wear a mask, and all of us have been immunized, so you're welcome to step away if you like. The whole point of a vaccine, CDC guidance, is what we're following.
Yeah, because that's all it's about. It's
No.
just about feelings, Desmond. It's just about their feelings now. It's not about right or wrong or good or bad or how to protect your family.
Exactly.
The sky is falling. It's just about feelings, and that's the thing is like, but in the same ironic way, those feelings that reporter is worried about they had no problem propagating fear during day one or for the last 14, 16, 18 months. They have no problem propagating fear, saying, do this, do this, do this. And this is what questions me. I don't want to get into the whole COVID thing, but a lot of people are starting to question things that a lot of people questioned before. And now it's great because these people are saying, yes, start questioning these things. We've been doing this for 6 months. Like, why are we going to wear a mask after vaccinations? Why do we still need to social distance after vaccinations? Why do we still need to close down things after vaccinations? If the vaccination is not that good, first of all, it's not really a vaccine. But if the vaccination is not that good, what's the point of having it? And then you get, how dare you question things? The media says this. I mean, that's that whole cancel thing again. Are you questioning this? How dare you?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's not a rational person's way of thinking. That's the way of thinking. That's how a cult thinks.
Yes, it's
hyper.
It's like hyper vigilant, hyper reactionary, right? It's like, but it's not rational. I mean,
it is very irrational. You just think about it. You're vaccinated. Why do you need to wear a mask? There's no need, really.
No,
right? You're safe, and you're not going to pass it on to anybody else.
Well, if you're protecting the other person, vaccine should help you get less transmission rates, help you get less chance of even catching it. I don't know, but at the same time, it's like, what about vitamin D? What about being healthy?
Yeah.
But right, like they whatever they're trying to, and I think sometimes I wonder, I'm like, well, is there just a couple of people controlling the media and they're saying do this and do that? And I don't even think that. I think the media likes chaos. They love chaos, right? And they love it's just whatever's going to sell, and whatever's going to sell is like they I think they follow the ball of thunder, the chaos thunder. It's like they roll this for a while. When this COVID thing is wearing off the fear, well, let's roll over to maybe the Middle East.
Oh yeah, and there are several topics that the media will run away from, right? Amongst the Afro community, all you gotta say is black on black crime, and the media runs.
They're not.
All you have to say is that, right? Yeah. Oh, there's no black on black crime. Give me a break. Black on black crime has been around there for ages. It's just as common as white on white crime, Asian on Asian crime. It happens. Okay.
Well, in fact, you have to be an absolute imbecile to not know that, even theoretically. Of course, there's black on black crime.
Exactly.
Of course.
But because they're so stuck in this narrative, right, that you can't have that. And I'm ridiculous. Yeah, you go give me a break. Okay, I mean, how many Asians attack Asians? Do you think that there are Asian criminals? I'm South Asian, so I can say this. There are Asian criminals out there. Okay, just as much as there are white criminals out there. Well, guess what? There are black criminals out there. There are Afro criminals that are out there. So to deny that, I mean, all you do is just go down to to Harlem or something like that, or go down to Baltimore and just look at the gangs and all the violence that's there.
Yeah.
It's really bad in certain areas. The same thing if you go into there are certain Asian communities, whether or not they're in Canada or the United States or not, that's beside the case, because you still get them in other countries too.
Exactly.
Where there
At
are,
that point, you can find every ethnicity. You can find an Asian. You can find not Asian. You can find a criminal organization that's almost for every ethnic group, right?
Exactly, that's true.
Really
but they don't want to paint it that way.
No,
they don't want to paint it that way. Why? Because they want you to keep squabbling. And
yes,
if you keep on,
and right now it's in vogue, right? It really is. It's really popular, and it's, for lack of a better word, it's sexy to hate white people right now,
yeah, which is kind of dumb.
right? You
There's a
think
lot
about
of
it.
people who do dumb things
It's been
right
a
now
while
because it's
now.
trendy.
That's what I'm saying. It's been a while now, and I'm not saying for a second that nothing bad has happened at the hands of white people. I can't say that. Of course, tons of things are bad, right? And tons of things happen at the hands of white organizations or white countries and all of that. But it has nothing to do with the skin color of Joe Blow today, right?
Yeah.
Now, if there is the thing about racism, this is how I feel about racism. Racism is 100% individual. If there's a racist act or racist, word or whatever, deal with it on that situation. That's all I think about it, right? So it's so crazy. It's so
That
crazy.
there's an instance, like for instance, there going back to the whole racism thing, the recent uptick in crimes against Asians in general. Some of them are hate crimes, or some of them I believe are not hate crimes; they're just crimes, right? There is one instance where there is a couple of teenage Afro girls who who basically carjacked a Muslim guy from Pakistan, a 68-year-old grandfather at that. He was a Uber Eats driver, right? Poor old guy. This poor grandpa, they carjacked him with a stun gun, right? And he was there holding on to I was outside on the driver's side. There's actually a video out there. It's kind of big graphic, but you can find it on the net. But he was holding on to the driver's to the steering wheel, standing outside of the car on the driver's side, saying, "No, this is my car. This is my car," right? And the two girls are sitting inside. The girl on the driver's seat floors it while he's still outside hanging on, right? And his relative, his female relative, is there saying, "No, stop, stop." She's like panicking, and then all you can see is they run off in this car. They swerve into a lamppost so that the door crushes him, right? And then they run off, and then the car goes out of control and flips on the driver's side, crushing the old man, right?
Oh my God.
And what is it these teens wants to do? Oh, I had to go. They try to get away, but then one comes back, not to save the old man, but to get her cell phone back.
Oh my God. Oh my God. I can't believe this is real.
It's horrible. Now, I'm not going to go saying that I'm not going to say whether this happened due to racist causes at all. And the thing is, I'm not going to say that every single black person is racist because I see this. Because two of the people who were there trying to stop these girls were two black men. Right.
Well, yeah, and that's it. But so to your point, though, and with the point of our episode today, is that's not in the media as much, right? So is it?
No, it's not.
Asian. So it's crimes against Asian. It's just not. It's underreported or under.
It is kind of underreported. It's only recently that it started to get reported a lot. The thing is,
but even once it's reported, it's under televised. They have no publicity.
It is under televised. I mean, Asians get hit a lot. But the big difference between Asians as opposed to the Afro-American community is they're quiet about it. They're very quiet.
But some would say it's bad to be quiet. Some would say, it's good to be quiet.
Like the Afro-American community, not everyone in the Afro-American community, but typical, your average Afro-American is very energetic, full of life. They're very vocal. They're very, it comes with the whole culture that they have, particularly the one it has to do with, gospel music and the stuff. It's what makes a lot of their music so powerful and so beautiful. But the double side to that that high level of emotional reactiveness is that they become very vocal about it because they're looking at their ancestors who went through chattel slavery. I mean, it's horrible. But the thing is, it's the current generation is not going through the same type of chattel slavery that their great grandparents went through, right? But
more, I guess, typically or more historically, the Asian communities have just been honestly just quieter. Whether, like I said,
they have been
faulted or not. But and because of that, it's all much easier to then turn a blind eye, literally, or to just ignore the issue. But I've been even hearing rumblings that it's kind of been an uptick. And I don't know if that makes sense.
Well, it was, the thing is, this happens every now and then. Now I don't know if they can really say it's because of COVID, because of the fact that this is not only happening to Chinese folks, it's also happening to South Asians too.
Yeah.
And I'm South Asian, and you put me next to my Chinese, one of my Chinese neighbors. We don't. You can probably tell that we're a different ethnic background in terms of nationality and all that stuff.
You're
right?
more Italian than Chinese.
Yeah, I know. Like if you go, no, honestly, there are some people from South Asia. They go to Italy, and the Italians mix us up with being
100%.
Italian until they start talking in Italian, and we're like, well, the Pastor Russell Peters like, "See, man, yeah,
see, man,
capisci."
No, but you're right though. It's like I mean, it's everywhere. It's
yeah. It's like you can see some Italian guy going like, "Tony," and he goes on in Italian and all this. Capisci? See, it's like,
that's all you need to know.
Sure. And then they found out the guy is Indian, and oh no. Exactly. So they can't. Sometimes they get mixed up, and it happens. Like I remember, one guy in a class.
But to your point though, like it's. I mean, it's underreported, right? And it's whether it's just not just underreported, but it's just maybe it's either covered up. I don't know what the whole idea behind it is, but it's if they're not, it is still there, right? Like we're saying, and even the media for that matter. I don't know. They're not covering. They're not exposing it. It's one of these things that they're not. I don't know. What's there to say about that? I don't know.
Yeah, the thing is that, well, for the left wing, the Asians are the minority that just doesn't fit. That's the problem. Yeah. Because the victim mentality doesn't fit Asians. Asians are not people who fall victim very easily. They have been victimized quite a bit. I mean, you just look at Bruce Lee's lifestyle, the life of Bruce Lee, what hardships he had to go through. But if you look
at themselves within Asian countries have been through turmoil like other countries, civil wars and other wars, and everything.
Yeah, even Sri Lanka's civil war was actually kept going by certain Canadian liberals and the Federalists that were actually should have just stayed out of the whole process, honestly, because when they did stay out of the whole process, when President Rajapaksa, when Mahinda Rajapaksa finally kicked them out and said, "Mind your own business," they ended the war within like a few days. 30 years of war was ended in just a few days, right? There's people who go saying, "Oh yeah, there's atrocities on both sides," but the thing is, But anyways, but that's a different story. Yeah. The fact of the matter is there are innocent people dying due to first the LTTE, the Tamil Tigers were doing suicide bombs. Mm-hmm. People also said that the 9/11 attacks were learned that what Al Qaeda did was learned from the LTTE, because they, long before 9/11 hit, and you had the bombing of the Twin Towers. The central bank of Sri Lanka was bombed in a similar manner, but not using an airplane. Instead, they used a humongous truck.
Oh wow!
Full of explosives, and it was like a bunch of crazy with these they were just these wild men just running in and just exploding the thing. They had absolutely no fear at all when they started to do this. And the LTT is known as one of the most ferocious and most fearless a group of soldiers that were out there, right? Even they said they had the most fierce female soldiers in the world.
Wow.
So that's the thing. So but the liberals, they kept on wanting it to keep on going. Unfortunately, the way they did it.
So let's try and tie this all together, Desmond. What do you think is the is either the motivation behind this, or is this we can't obviously just completely bash just the left, because like you said, we're all about Centerville, right? We're all about the water.
Exactly. And I'm not going to do that.
I understand. I think I understand some intention behind some of that, right? Besides, the left wanting to kind of create a good country, but you can't just program it.
The thing is that, and this is going into one of our future episodes, is why the left, not classical liberals, mind you, but why the far left thinks the way it does today. And that's something for a future episode that we're going to be talking about when we get into things like postmodernism and intersectionality, which is the core, which is at the root of most of the problems here. So that's something that, you know, that we'll be going into in another episode.
Awesome.
But that I think, but the thing is that again, we're going to be going into Marxism also in another episode, and that's going to be one that's coming before postmodernism and intersectionality. Is that there at this whole divide and conquer scenario is there to distract people from what matters, right?
Exactly.
And if by doing that, people are thinking that, oh yes, our leader is great. Our leaders are doing what's good for us. Guess who else thinks that? North Korea and China. There's a lot of people who think that way, even though there are dozens of people suffering human rights violations left and right in those countries, right? So it's this whole bunch of this all trying to get as many people on the side of the government, because the way things are going, it looks like the government is tired. The government, particularly from what's taken roots in the left, I would say, because this is not something that was there 15, 20 years ago, but it's something that's taken root in the left, is a moving away from democratic tendencies and basically getting tired of democracy. And if you look at it slowly, there are certain Marxist tendencies that are starting to show if you look very, very closely.
Yeah. Actually, that's perfect. That's perfect kind of an intro or taste into the next few episodes, right? Because we're going to be getting into that stuff.
Yeah.
And we can talk about that. Well, let's like I say, and I always want to encourage people to email us in, right, and contact us, send us their messages, what they think of their feedback, also about what they think about our, the topics we've been talking about, our articles. If they have any good articles for us, if they have any good examples, if they want to talk on the show as well. Anything else you want to say to wrap up kind of this one on how the media is kind of skewing it, right? I mean,
it is skewed, man. But yeah, also, if you want to join the conversation, like we're not giving out our emails not very much, because the thing is, we don't want to be spammed by emails, unfortunately. But we are having our Facebook page is open. The comments for the video are open for discussion. Just make sure you keep it clean, and please try and keep it, decent. If you want to open up for debate, calling someone else a poo-poo pants is not really going to help, or the equivalent of that. I'm trying to keep it PG here, right? But just going and saying you're dumb, no, you're dumb, no, you're dumb, no, you're dumb, that's not debate. Okay,
we'll ignore those comments anyway, so it doesn't
we're gonna ignore those types of stuff anyways. If you have an intelligent debate, if you have an intelligent comment to make, regardless of what how far-fetched that anyone might see it, as long as it's trying to explain something properly without trying to throw insults or without trying to quiet people, right?
Honestly, we're just trying to make sense of things, right? In a loving way, like we say. Again, what we're trying to do here is spread the word, spread information, entertain at the same time, and just.
And we welcome any type of debate or any type of comments from either side of the fence, and especially from the middle, right?
Absolutely. Awesome. Thanks, Des. Thanks again, everybody.
Well, see you in the next video.
All right. Peace.
Thanks for joining in and watching Centerville Voice. Remember to like, comment, share, and subscribe. If you are seeing this on YouTube, make sure you click on the notifications bell so you get notified when we upload new videos, which we release every Friday. Sharing and liking our videos helps promote the channel, and sharing episodes like these helps get the word out so that more people will get to see our videos. If you like what you see and or hear, please consider becoming one of our Patreon supporters. 10% of all Patreon supporter donations we receive goes to our charity of the year. You can visit us at centervillevoice.com to learn more and engage with us on one of our social media pages. Thanks for your support, and we will see you again in our next video or podcast.